All right. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Corey Bosmer, host of Conversations with Corey podcast, and the person who runs the social media football page on Facebook and Twitter, known as Football of Kentucky DBA. Today's special guest is Louisville men's basketball legend Peyton Siva. How you doing today, Peyton?
I'm good. Just been running around all day, taking the kids to soccer practice and everything, but I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for asking. So I'm going to throw out a couple of names, and then I would like to, when I give you those names, describe them if you can as best as possible.
All
Russ
right.
Smith.
Russ Dickulus. He's a very good friend of mine. Ultra high energy guy. Love him to death. Super talented basketball player and a bourbon connoisseur now, I guess.
He definitely is. Luke Hancock.
MOP, most outstanding player in Final Four, someone who's always going to be known as the guy to knock down, four plus 3-pointers in the first half against Michigan and 3 to the dome. Great friend of mine also, and an amazing analyst now.
You know, since you said that, he actually is. Luke's always had that mindset for basketball. I just didn't think it'd be what it is. You know, he displays that continuously.
Yeah, he's always been a smart player. So it's actually really good to see him convert that over to the TV side of thing. And he's a great personality too. So it's good to see.
No, he definitely is. Now, there were talks recently about the alumni basketball team and stuff like that. You yourself, if I'm not mistaken, are a part of that, correct?
Yeah, so the Louisville TBT team, it'll be in July. It's hosted at Freedom Hall this year. So looking forward to that.
Now, how did that come about, and how did you come about getting a part of that?
So it was actually presented to me by Luke had asked me, and the coach Mark Lieberman and Dylan Avars, who's also part of it, who's was a former UofL player, and they just kind of reached out to me and asked me if I want to do it this year. And I'm kind of on the back end of my playing days, and thought it would be a cool opportunity to go out there and play in front of some Louisville fans in the state of Kentucky. And it's been a while since I played in front of the fans, so I thought it would be cool to get out there, play in front of the fans, and get back and play with some of my old teammates, Kyle Kirk, who always committed to playing with the team, Rakeem Buckles, and other guys like Stephen Enoch, who I haven't played with, who would be cool to get a chance to get on the court with, and then some other Louisville guys. So I'm looking forward to that.
Now, with this happening, is it Louisville like a select amount of past alumnus players against other collegiate alumni? Is that how this works?
So the TBT is a ESPN event. So winner takes all, $1 million cash prize.
Nice.
And it's a tournament where it's not just alumni. There are a lot of alumni teams that get involved, and they kind of want to do it that way. But there's other teams who kind of have a collective group of different guys on their teams that, maybe friends and stuff, that they just get together and try to put their names in there. But the big ones are the alumni teams who have a key core group of alumni from that specific school. And then you might have a couple other guys who's sprinkled in just kind of fill out the rosters.
Definitely. So how did you come about being a basketball player and student athlete for UofL? How did your recruitment and stuff go?
So I'm from Seattle, Washington. I grew up in Seattle. I had a older teammate who I've watched a long time, who was Terrence Williams, who came to the University of Louisville. And that was kind of the first that really put them on the map for me. And then also Louisville played the University of Washington when I was in high school, when UW was, I think, a 1 seed at the moment. And Louisville beat them that year to go to I think it was the Elite Eight. And then,
was that the year they had Isaiah Thomas?
No. So Isaiah Thomas was in school when I was in school, but that was the year that they had Brandon Roy, Trey Simmons, Will Conroy, Nate Robinson. Yeah, that was that team. I think it was Francisco Garcia and Larry O'Bannon on that team that played against them. So they kind of just put them on the map, and then I kind of just followed them since then. I really fell in love when I watched Louisville and the way that Edgar Sosa played. I got a chance to watch him when he played against Arizona, and he was doing the eyebrow thing and the camera, and just fell in love with the energy and everything behind it. So really just enjoyed watching it all and, seeing it. But that was one of the main things for me. Just watching Louisville and seeing Coach Pitino and the way he ran his team was really special and made me want to, eventually go to Louisville.
Right. So you get to Louisville. How much did you have to prove yourself?
I had to prove myself a lot. I came to Louisville as a McDonald's All-American and a highly recruited, player from the West Coast. And college was a whole different ball game. And, I knew I wasn't going to come in and play a lot of minutes at the beginning. I thought I was going to come in, play some backup minutes to Edgar Sosa and just kind of be the backup point guard. But, Coach P had different plans. And so I came in, I was essentially the backup point guard, but also played behind Preston O's. Jerry Smith played a little bit at the point guard position. And it was tough. I went and played about 10 minutes a game. I remember, when we started Big East, our Big East schedule, I didn't play the first game, and then I played maybe 2 minutes the next game and just going to Coach Pitino, like, what's going on? Like, why am I not playing? I feel like I deserve to get some minutes, but it just wasn't in the cards. And I really have to take a hard look in the mirror to see what I can do to step on the floor and to become productive and help the team out, and just try to find whatever I could to do that. And eventually it worked out, but my freshman year was really rough.
Okay. So I want to stay on that. And when I ask you this question, it's more or less you giving advice to the guys that come into college in similar situations like you, highly recruited player, McDonald's All-American. So you have a little bit of continuity mentally and a little bit of mental swagger, and then boom, real life hits you, and then you have to be humbled. How are you able, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. How are you able to manage that? And what advice could you give to individuals that come into college from high school in a similar situation like yourself?
It wasn't easy. Luckily for me, I had some, good people in my corner that wasn't just telling me to, oh, you should go somewhere else or you should leave. And at that time, it wasn't really an option, because if you left, you're out for a year. You're sitting out for a year transfer. So, I had tweeted something the other day. It was like, if I was a freshman, I probably would have, left just because it is easy now. But I am so glad looking back at it that I didn't. And I would tell freshmen or whoever going into the schools now that, you have to find ways to, one, not run, from the adversity and not run from, the grind of getting better. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. And two, like you gotta put your head down and put the work in.
Absolutely.
But if you're working and you're, busting your ass every day and you're putting in the work, you're living in the gym, and, the coach just isn't playing you, then that's something different. If you and the coach aren't on the same page or see eye to eye, that's different than you going to school and not getting in the gym and, just assume that this role should be given to you, or assume that, oh, you should play this many minutes. That's not how it works. And I think a lot of kids just think that way, and that's why they end up leaving and going to another school, and, they're promised these minutes, and it's like, that's not how the real world works. And they're in for a rude awakening when they want to go pro or they want to get into anything else in life. So that would kind of be my advice, man. Just if you're working hard and you're putting the work in, the results will show. And if you go out there and show the coach, like, I'm putting in the work, he's not going to have a reason to keep you off the floor. So, and that was my thing, is I just put my head down, worked every day. Coach said I need to be better on defense, and that's what I did. And once I got on the court, then I was able to kind of hang a longer leash, where then I had the freedom to do what I wanted.
Yeah.
But at first, you have to find a way to get on the court, whether that's being a defensive guy, being a pass-first guy, whatever it may be, whatever the coach has envisioned for you, step on the court, and then that's when you kind of expand your role and expand your, as some say, your bag.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about not right exactly when y'all won a championship. At what point in time when you were at Louisville, at the University of Louisville, did it first click in your mind that you guys could truly do something special?
I would say after the year we lost in the Final Four to UK was really kind of, we had our core group of guys coming back.
Yeah.
We lost some key guys, but we had some core group. We had all the other pieces coming back, and we got a taste of it. So we knew that, all right, this is the recipe. These are the answers to the test. Like, we knew what it took to get there.
Yeah.
We lost Kyle Kirk, but we gained Luke Hancock.
Not a bad trade. Not a bad trade.
We lost Jared Swapshire, but we gained Montrezl Harrell. So it was, those things. And then we had an extra year under our belts playing together, me and Russ, me, Kevin, Gorgie, everybody. So it was just one of those things. And also too, like Wayne, he stepped up in the Final Four game. It was like, all right, now we know what we have in Wayne and Shane. So we knew we had the pieces, and we knew what it took to get back there, because my first 2 years, it was tough. We lost in the first round, so we didn't know what it was like in the tournament. But after, when we won those first couple games, and then we beat the Michigan States and we beat the Floridas to go to the Final Four, like, we were like, all right, this is what it takes. This is what we can do. And I think that really, pushed us that summer to really think that we could be this good, or we could be that team to eventually win it.
Definitely. So when you guys actually did win it, what was the first thing going through your mind?
Honestly, it was shock, just because, every year you go to the tournament, you just kind of think, oh man, you go home, you watch it, or you hear about who won, and you're like, man, we beat the team that beat them, or, we could have beat these guys if this would have happened. And you always play that what if game. And after you win it, it's just kind of a surreal moment. You're just like, wait, that's it. Like, we don't have practice tomorrow, or like, we don't have like to go on another road trip. Like, we actually done it. But the thing that helped us on that run and actually winning it was winning the two, Big East titles before that, because we were battle tested and we knew what it took to win those championship games. And I think that really helped us also. And we got hot at the right time, both years, which that plays a huge role with any tournament team. It doesn't matter who's the best. As you saw the other day with Purdue getting knocked off, it's like they were a number one ranked team, but
man,
after you came in, they played hard that game. So, it's one of those things that you just got to get hot at the right time. Everything just has to click. And for me, it was just like, wow, we actually really did it. Like, we don't have nothing else. Like, and that was my senior year. So to go out that way was, truly a blessing.
Definitely. So I want to talk to you about Rick Pitino specifically.
Mm-hmm.
How important to you as an individual was he just to your life and to your career as a basketball player? How influential?
Oh, it was huge. He taught me so many life lessons. I'm close with my dad, but when you have coaches who are in your lives for 4 years, who you see every single day, they kind of take over and play that, father figure role. And not to say my dad, but like Coach P helped me to instill like different core values that, he's been through in his life, that he was able to kind of pass over to me. And, I tell people on the court, me and Coach P, especially my first couple of years, we butted heads a lot just because I didn't understand a lot of the things that he was trying to teach me. And on the court, he can get after you. But off the court, he was the nicest guy, the coolest guy just to be around. And I loved him to death. And, as I got older, like my junior and senior year, where he kind of, just let me grow and let me go. And I was, I really enjoyed playing for him, but enjoyed him more off the court than on the court, just because of the life lessons that he was able to teach me and, instill in me. And he's someone that I can always reach out to if I ever have any questions or any problems.
Now, I want to talk to you about the unfortunates when it comes to sanctions and stuff. How did that affect you emotionally and mentally? Because a lot of people often don't talk about that stuff. It really affects a person. How did that affect you?
Yeah, I think it was tough just because of, everything that happened.
Yeah.
It was like, it kind of felt it was unfair, especially for the players. Just because like we sacrificed so much on the court. We put so much effort and time on the court to win. And we felt like it was wrongly done to us. But also I felt bad for the guys that it also affected that had nothing to do with it. Like, the Trey Lewis's, the, Damian Lee's, and, so on and so on. It was tough because like this once proud, tradition in school is being tarnished for something that, especially none of those guys did. So
Right.
it played a role, and it's hurt the university in a lot of ways, but, now, they're trying to get out of it, especially with everything's just being cleared. It's just like, all right, hopefully like everything can move on, move past it, move forward. And, hopefully with Kenny Payne and getting these recruits and stuff in this year, it can kind of take a step in the right direction. What I would say.
Definitely. So since you mentioned Kenny Payne, let's get into that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, and I know a person like you sees it and hears it, you might not respond more so often than not to a lot of the garbage that people spew out there day in, day out on a weekly basis. What's your assumption of Kenny Payne?
I think Kenny's a great guy. I think he's a hell of a recruiter. I think he's a hell of a player developer. I think he's still, learning as a head coach. This is his first year as a head coach, so I think he still is learning. But I'm excited to kind of see what he does with his own group. Like, nothing against the guys who were there. Was down there a lot and got a chance to see them practice and everything and build a relationship with them all. But, a lot of them didn't fit the style of play that he wanted to do. And so I'm excited to see him actually have a full summer with his staff, a full summer of time to, recruit players and get the guys that he feels best fits his system, and to see how that goes. Because when I was down there, I mean, the way he coached those guys, the way he pushed them and tried to motivate them, it was a sight to see. That's why whenever I am on social media or whenever somebody does say something, I'm just like, you guys don't know. I mean, it's tough, because the record, it does, speak loudly, winning only 4 games, but there's a lot more to it than, that. And I saw the practices, the workouts, the trainings, the individuals. Like, there was a lot that went on behind, closed doors that,
Definitely.
That could have went in a better way. Like, if they win those 2 early games where they lost by 1 point, the season could have been a lot different. Those guys would have had a lot more confidence going into it. Those guys would have been, more confident in everything, and the season could have went a whole another way. But just felt like this year, everything that could go wrong went wrong, and it was tough. So I'm really looking forward to this year with Kenny Payne. And look, man, I'm a homer when it comes to the University of Louisville. I'm always going to support them through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm never going to really bash them on social media. Like, I might tweet something during the game, like, oh man, what is he doing? But I know as a player who's played at that level and who's played at the highest level, like, everything's not perfect. People are going to make mistakes, and these guys are humans too. So
Right. So I want to jump on stay consistent with this year's team. You mentioned the record being 4-28. So they're obviously, turning the tide, excuse me, pardon my French, as far as getting recruits, 3 5-star recruits in less than a week. That's very rare. Does that happen, especially for a university that just got over what UofL got over?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he gets a couple more studs in the transfer portal. What would be considered a failure for his second season? Like, tournament or bust? If he don't make a tournament, should he not be there for a third year? What's your thoughts on that? Because people are talking about that since day one.
Yeah, I don't think that if he doesn't make the tournament, he should be fired or whatever. But I do think that the expectations, especially at a university of Louisville, is to make it to the tournament. You know, they can only go up, right? I mean, there's always a way, but you know, I feel like the only way is up for them. And for him to kind of have his feet wet, understand, you know, what's going on, the expectations of all the fans and the media and everything, I think he'll have those guys ready. And like you said, I mean, he has his guys now. And I feel like, you know, like you said, to have 3 5-star recruits come in after going 4-28, it's unheard of. Because when you think of a school that goes in 4-28, you never associate them with a Power 5 or, you know, a major, high major, you know, team. So I feel like it shows how, let's say, it shows how big the University of Louisville is as far as a basketball program, as far as a sports program in general. It shows that, you know, they are still one of the most talked about programs in basketball, no matter if they went 4-28 or went, you know, 25-30 or some whatever, you know, they're going to be on people's minds. And I think the recruits see that. I think people see that. And also, too, with Kenny Payne, not only does it come with the university, he's well connected. I mean, if you want to go and be a pro, there's hardly anyone better that's more connected than Kenny Payne. You know, he's coached with the Knicks. He coached at UK with Calipari. He knows the general managers. He knows the, you know, the coaches, and you know, he has a phone book that can match anybody. So he brings more to the table than just you know, the University of Louisville, and especially with guys going to college, they want to go pro. Especially now, it's a business. You know, guys are getting paid. So if that's the route they want to go, then I feel like, you know, Kenny should be their guy.
So let's touch on that. You mentioned about student athletes / kids, whatever, however you want to call them, are allowed to get paid. What's your thoughts on NIL, the negatives and positives?
I'm kind of indifferent about it, just because as a player, I would have wanted to get paid.
For sure.
If I think of it as a player, I want to get paid. I want to, you know, experience getting all this money and whatnot. But also, too, as a college athlete, going through those struggles really made me appreciate the struggles I went to, and also the fruits of my labor when I did go pro, like, you know, earning that first check, or, you know, it pushed me to want to go to the NBA, or it pushed me to want to go, you know, succeed on the court and give it my all every night. Because a lot of times now kids are getting paid before they even play a game.
It's insane how much they're getting paid before they play the game.
Right. And it's like, you know, what's the return? Like,
yeah.
A guy goes out there and averages 2 points a game, like you paid him $500,000 or whatever it may be. It's like, yeah, they're paid. So they didn't have to work for anything. I feel like, you know, let them work for it and reward them, instead of, you know, they're coming out of high school and they're just like, oh yeah, here's $1 million or whatever it may be. It's like, you don't know what they're going to be capable of. So if I'm looking at it from a player, I'm like, oh, great. Yeah. Pay me all the money you can. But if I'm looking at it as, like, say, like a coach or outside or a fan, it's like, they're going to miss the whole college experience of everything. The, you know, team camaraderie, the, you know, battling every night, like digging into grinding and trying to, you know, become a pro. Like it's a different magnitude. And that's where it also sucks, because now coaches have to treat it as a business, because essentially it is. That's why you're seeing so many kids going to transfer portals and leaving schools, because coaches have to make a business decision now too. Like, it's not all about, you know, developing these guys and, you know, building them up. It's like, if they want to leave, cool. You're getting paid to do a job now. Like, that's essentially what it is. So, like I said, I'm indifferent about it. You know, I'm happy they are getting something, but I wish it was something that they had to kind of work towards and show that they're valued, show their value in it.
Definitely. I got a few more things I want to cover before we end this great conversation. I want to backtrack to that unfortunate stuff that you guys went through again. How were you able to to manage along with your teammates. How were you guys able to manage, like, really, like, holding it together and, like, remaining, like, I wouldn't say silent, but quiet in a sense, or not really speaking on it as much whenever the stuff first started and it kept going on? How were you able to get through that? Because that's a tough thing to handle. It really is.
Yeah, I think it's tough. It wasn't something that we should just really kind of just speak about. It was, especially some of us did speak about it, but it was, with media nowadays, everything's going to get, misconstrued in everything you say.
Exactly.
So it wasn't something that it was like, oh, the more you put out, the more, I would say you fan the flames a little bit.
Gotcha.
And, so it was something that, we knew what happened. We knew what was going on, and we try to go through the right channels through it. It was an unfortunate situation, but like I said, it didn't affect anything that we did in the court. And for them to, kind of tarnish that name was, tough to deal with. But I'm glad that the university is working towards kind of, recognizing our team, especially, a simple gesture as putting the banner that they did put back up there is a step in the right direction. And I feel like, eventually the banner will come back, the original one. So
definitely. How important is mental health to you?
It's huge, especially as a pro. That's something I've dealt with a lot more recently. I dealt with it in college, but it wasn't something that I would say people were aware about, or it wasn't as well known. Like when you think about mental health now, you see a lot more athletes coming out and speaking about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, just maybe 7-8 years ago, it was more so like, oh, he's just weak, or like he's tripping or something like that, where now it's okay to kind of talk about your mental health, like talk about, being depressed or having a tough time, because what was the Bill Walton quote that was 90% of the game is mental, like 10% are physical. But it is. I mean, that's why Coach Pitino, made us get off of Twitter, during my time at UofL, just because so many people like to spew hate, hurt people, and everybody, wants, not everybody, but a lot of people want to see your downfall, especially if you're, on top of the world or you're having success. It bothers you. You might read all these comments are, oh man, you're the best, you're the greatest, you're this and that. But you might have that one or two people that try to throw a jab in there, like, oh no, you suck, or oh, you had this terrible game. And it's like, those one or two comments can stick with you. As much as people say it doesn't, you think about it, and it's tough. So I think mental health is a huge thing. I think a lot of universities are taking advantage of using, psychiatrists or, therapy to kind of help these guys out, because in this day and age, social media plays such a huge role, because you're your own brand.
Yep.
You have to, promote yourself on social media, which in turn you get the good and the bad from it. So,
for sure.
I've dealt with, mental health issues when I was playing in Europe, being over there by myself sometimes when my wife and kids are back home, or, struggling, just losing a game. You get, over there, especially, you get like death messages, or your mom is this and that. And it's like, it sucks, and it's tough, but you try to find a way to find somebody that you can kind of speak with about it. Like me, I speak with my wife about it. We talk a lot just about the troubles that I go through, and, for the college athletes and even NBA athletes, they go to therapists. They have a coach now that kind of helps them through it all. So I think it's major.
Definitely. Two more things. You ever see yourself coaching collegiately?
I don't see myself ever being a head coach. I think that's out of my realm, but I would love to eventually be kind of a assistant coach on the bench, a player development coach, to kind of that's always been my passion, just kind of being a mentor, just helping out the next generation, just, inspiring them, giving them the knowledge that I've, learned throughout my years of playing professionally. So if it happens, I would love to, coach in college, just kind of be that assistant guy that can kind of relate to the guys, help, train them, help them develop and, become better. But I don't think I could ever be a head coach.
Sometimes it's you tend to bite off more than you can chew when it comes to being in a position like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, as you see a lot of head coaches, they're either bald or have gray hair. So I think it's a little bit stressful.
Man, so if I'm a parent and I have a perennial student athlete as my child, why would my child want to come to University of Louisville, in your opinion?
Well, one, it's an amazing school. The university, period. I think it has a great, speed school program. I think they have a bunch of, great other, programs that they offer for a student. But as far as like athletics go, I mean, yeah, they had some, bad years, especially in basketball with the NCAA cloud hanging over their heads. But with that gone, there's so much more possibilities to get back. Because I said something the other day, when Louisville was at its peak, it's a top program, in the nation as far as with all sports.
Hard to disagree that. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when we were in 2013, I would say that was kind of a peak year. The men's team won the national championship in basketball. The women's team went to the national championship in basketball. The football team won the Sugar Bowl. The baseball team went to Omaha. The swim team, they had a bunch of gold medalists and records. And the lacrosse team, the field hockey, track, everything from top to bottom, all, exceeded expectations of, what they were supposed to. And when Louisville was at its top, I mean, they were the highest, revenue team in college basketball, period, as far as the KFC Yum Center goes.
Yeah.
So, it's a place that, I joked around and I said, it's a college town. Everybody's like, no. It's a college state. It's a college city. Like, no, this is like, you have UK and Lexington, you have Louisville, University of Louisville and Louisville. And it's like, there's no pro teams. So the fans, live and die by their universities.
We definitely do.
And as a, athlete, there's what more do you want? You're treated as a rock star. You're treated, you have the top facilities, sports and health nutritionists, physical trainers. And as a parent, that, all right, my son or daughter is going to these schools and they're going to be well taken care of. Like, you don't have to worry about anything. And also too, with NIL, it's like these schools have money. So it's something that they can, rely on, or if they need to help, take care of their families or whatnot, there's deals in place and connections. And you see a lot of times when people come to these schools, they end up moving back to these cities. Like, I can't tell you how many former players live in Louisville alone. Like, me and Russ are neighbors and we're both from two different states. So it just shows you, like, when you're in these schools, you're not just taken care of during your time there, you're taken care of for life. So.
All right. Last question. How does Peyton Siva want to be remembered as a person?
Someone just cared, someone who always could put a smile on somebody's face, someone who was always approachable. I mean, that's always just kind of been who I am, who I've always wanted to be. That's why I say I love to mentor people, just kind of help them and teach them. And, that's kind of, just as a good husband, dad, and, someone who excelled at the University of Louisville, someone who worked hard and, won a championship from the university, but somebody who also gave back to the community.
One last question. I'm sorry. It just made me think of that, listening to your answers. Who's your hero and why?
Who's my hero? I really wouldn't say I have like one specific person, but I would say it's just from a young age. It probably would always have to be my mom. I was always a mom boy growing up.
Nothing wrong with that. Same here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that just because she was the main one in my life that, took care of me. I have a great relationship with my dad, and a lot of people see him because he's a larger than life character. He's hard to miss, especially in Louisville. He's a hard to miss guy. But, my mom was the one that worked, the 3 jobs when I was, coming up. And she was the one that worked in the juvenile system and helping, those kids out and being that mentor to them. And, I seen her, how she interacts with, my friends growing up. And she was always that person that I always kind of leaned on and always looked up to, as far as just because, like I said, she was my mom. But,
right.
I would say that I don't really have someone who I kind of, base my life around or want to emulate in a sense.
Yeah.
But I would say that she's probably the one that, raised me along with, like I said, other coaches and, my dad alongside. But she was the one that I kind of give a special shout out to.
Peyton, I want to thank you for your time, sir. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself as much as I enjoyed having this great conversation. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, man. You take care of yourself, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care, Peyton.
All right, take it easy.